This is Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Hey, welcome back to Midweek Politics. I'm David Pakman. Thanks for listening. Congressman Richard Neal, who happens to be our congressman here in Northampton, Massachusetts, where we do the show, is on the phone. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. How about you?
Thanks for calling in. And I have to say, we have somebody here in studio. He was our previous guest, and he's somebody that you know. I'm going to let him say hello to you.
Congressman Neal, it's Mike Carney.
Hey, Michael. How are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Thank you for your support when I testified down in D.C. on ENDA.
Oh, happy to.
And I was just here talking to David about that, and I wanted to say hello.
So you're not guarding the station or anything?
Well, not today, but maybe tomorrow I'll think about it.
Well, there's so much to talk about, and I'm glad to get the chance today. I think that the place to start will be, what's your reaction to Scott Brown being the first Republican senator in a little bit in Massachusetts?
Well, obviously it was a sea change. I mean, I worked with Ted Kennedy for much of my career, and I certainly have known John Kerry, and I think that the alarm clock that went off for us just a few weeks ago probably got everybody's attention nationwide, never mind just the people of Massachusetts. And, there was an election, and we abide by the result, and then there's another election in 2 years.
Do you think Martha Coakley was just not the right candidate? Did she campaign the wrong way? Do people just in Massachusetts surprisingly just not want a Democrat?
I think Martha misread the result of the primary. And I think that she has acknowledged that her energy quotient should have been higher. And her suggestion, for example, that going dark after the primary was a huge miscalculation. Also
known as taking 3 weeks off, right?
Exactly. And when you go dark after a primary, that's when people are essentially beyond the primary season, beyond the partisans. They're now making up their minds. And I think in the end she lost by 4 points, and clearly it was suburban independent voters that made that difference. And the result of which is, by going dark, I think she had a unique opportunity to reintroduce herself to the people of Massachusetts. And clearly, Scott Brown took advantage of that opportunity.
You have a potential re-election campaign going on right now as well. Why have you been hesitant to debate or engage your opponents recently? Has it been?
There's no really. I mean, that certainly will come in time. I've never turned down those debates over the years. I'm happy to do that, but I think we need to get through the primary season.
Well, I'll tell you, back in 2006, we had your opponent on, but you declined to come on with them, and we just couldn't work out the schedule.
Do you remember?
It was, I don't even remember. Maybe that's
probably the reason.
Maybe that's what. Well, but many would argue that just because they have no chance, which they clearly didn't in that case, it sounds like it could be different this time, that you should still engage them as part of the...
and I don't have a difficulty with that whatsoever, and I've indicated if there's a serious opponent that emerges after the course of the primary, I certainly intend to debate them. I'm happy to do that, in fact. I think what you try to do, though, you try to gauge the earnestness of an opponent and as to whether or not that opponent is going to be a very serious candidate, and I think in this atmosphere, you have to treat it as such.
So you're saying if they are running just to get as much publicity as they can for themselves without a real shot...
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying, yeah.
So if we have a legitimate candidate this time around, you'll come on the show and debate them?
Well, I don't know that I'll debate them on your show, but I'm happy to debate them.
Excellent. Okay.
You got a deal.
What are your feelings on term limits for members of Congress? We've been going back and forth on this on the show a little bit, and my arguments in favor that I can think of off the bat are that they favor meritocracy versus seniority, and that they also increase competition and kind of encourage new challengers. At the same time, we don't want to kick people out that are doing a good job. Where do you fall on this?
Well, for me, that's an easy one. We already have term limits. We call them elections. And I think the people are fully capable of making the determination as to who ought to represent them.
That is true, but we know that there's an overwhelming amount of power associated with incumbency, is there not?
But when you go back and you survey, Dave, the results of the first elections in the dawning days of the Republic, the retention was equally high. And if we're to argue that after Jefferson and Madison, for example, reviewed the notion of term limits, they decided that the best check would be Election Day. And for me, I mean, that's the position I've taken over the years. And I must tell you that, when you look at people that are very effective in the Congress of the United States, they would not have been quite so effective, had their time been artificially terminated. Now, example that comes to mind, I think in Massachusetts you had Tip O'Neill. You currently have Congressman Frank and Congressman Markey that are long-serving members, and they sit on very important committees. I sit on the Ways and Means Committee, and that seniority that you earn only accrues to the benefit of the people of the state. In addition, I think that Tom Menino has been a very effective mayor of Boston, and I think that Rich Daley's been a very effective mayor of Chicago. And anybody would argue that you're simply to have arbitrarily been eliminated because of a term limit requirement is mistaken. I mean, when Newt Gingrich here proposed term limits, he was proposing a 12-year limit after he had served 16 years. So, I think that I understand the politics of the determination and the discussion, but I also think that you would empower substantially lobbyists and you would empower substantially staff members to make determinations that elected officials are supposed to make.
So what I'm hearing is that you believe the election process itself is enough of a term limiter. You don't feel the need for a set
I
two
think
terms.
The election process clearly provides the noted and necessary disinfectant to anybody who's suspicious about the undertakings of their government, and I think that's the role that the media plays as well.
Midweek Politics is brought to you in part by Jackson & Connor, classically modern men's apparel in Northampton, Massachusetts on the second floor of Thorne's Marketplace, and by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.